Hello and welcome to another gameplay episode here at Lorcana University. Today we've got some new deck lists here. On the left, Jimmy's going to be playing his BounceSong deck. That's a Amethyst Amber list that uses Amethyst's bounce characters paired with Amber's singing effects to take advantage of things like Sleepy's flute to try and win the match through some aggressive means that way, and a lot of card value as well. On the right, I'm playing my Gramma Tala list. I'm calling it Tala or Mama Hyper Ramp. That it uses a ton of Sapphire's ramp effects as well as Amethyst's bounce package to generate value in the early game as well as ridiculous value in the late game. So turn one, I played a Turnbox Followers, and he played a Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. I'm going to quest with Turnbox Followers and hope that he challenges into it, which he won't. He's not going to fall for that. He instead sings a Friends on the Other Side so that he can get an early song off with that great Singer 3 one-drop character. And then he's going to play out a Snake to bounce it to his hand. Very smart play because I would have challenged Turnbox Followers into that Cindy. I would have made that trade any day. So instead I'm going to cash Turnbox Followers in for a card draw and a lore. And that's one of the things I really love about this one drop is even in the late game, Turnbox Followers is okay because at least you can use it to draw another card. It's a delayed cantrip of sorts. Now we're going to end up questing the Gramma Tala and then playing a one jump ahead to start off our ramp game. A little late, but it's okay. What we are going to do is end up offering Gramma Tala as a card that he can banish to ramp us again. And he's going to quest with his Snake, bounce Snake to hand for Fox. And then he's going to go ahead and use Fox to banish Tala, which is ramped this second time. So now we're on turn 4. We're starting turn 4 with 5 ink. We haven't inked anything yet. We're going to play a Friends on the Other Side to draw some cards. Probably want to find something that we want to ink this turn. We're going to play another small Gramma Tala and ink a Let It Go, putting us at 6 ink. We have double the ink that Jimmy does at this point. Going to turn 4, he's debating what to do with this Fox. He's going to go ahead and quest with it. And then he's going to play a Ariel Spectacular Singer, which of course lets him look at the top 4 cards of his deck for a song, which is going to be the first of many of these. But it turns out he doesn't find a song, which is pretty good for us. That means he's losing card advantage here that he's expecting to recoup by replaying Spectacular Singers. So this is kind of one of the first moments where we see that maybe we can out-advantage Jimmy through our card draw effects, because most of ours aren't conditional like finding songs. He does replay that Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. We're going to ink a Snake, and now we're up to 6 ink. We're going to use 4 of that for or 7 ink, I'm sorry. We're going to use that for a Rabbit to draw a card, a second Gramma Tala, and then we're going to quest with one of those Gramma Talas. So Gramma Tala is one of those funny cards where it's just like such a challenge for our opponents to figure out the proper way to play around. Here comes a Bare Necessities, which reveals that our hand is in fact a Let It Go, a Hades, Infernal Schemer, and a Dr. Facilier, Agent Provocateur. So he gets rid of that Let It Go, but now he has to deal with the 2 bombs that are in our hands, one of which allows us to recur characters when they challenge, and the other which is hard removal, that he can't get rid of with things like Bare Necessities. He plays a Rabbit, which is going to be a really good card draw engine for him. And then he's going to end up playing The Boss is on a Roll, which allows him to look at the top 5 cards, reorder them, put some on the bottom, some on the top, and then gain a lore. So I think he puts, looks like it's going to put 2 on the top, no, 3 on the top and 2 on the bottom and gain a lore. So he likes at least 3 of the cards that he saw, and he got rid of 2 that would have been draws that he didn't like. He's going to ink a Goat here, and then quest with Fox. So not too intimidated by our board because a lot of what we have right now going on is Gramma Talas, which aren't super effective, but we're about to able to deploy one of our bombs. So let's go ahead and run out our Dr. Facilier, Agent Provocateur. So he says whenever one of our characters gets banished in a challenge, they go back to our hand instead of our discard pile. So we go ahead and challenge our Rabbit into Fox to bring down the Fox and get our Rabbit back to hand. We also still draw a card because it left play. And then here we have the option. We're going to challenge both of our Gramma Talas into that one Cindy Ballroom Sensation to bring her down. We have the option to put them directly into the inkwell from their own abilities, or we can put them back in our hand and ink them per turn, which is slower, but the ink comes in unexerted, which is a little more valuable too. I don't think I did that quite right. I ended up just putting one in my inkwell and one in my hand. I'm wondering if I need to replay it again since I have so few cards left. But hopefully our rabbit shenanigans can help us recoup some of our card disadvantage that we get from ramping. He's going to play a Merlin Goat to gain a lore. He's at 5 at this point and is looking a little bit... Oh, he's going to bounce that goat now here with a snake, going to 6 lore. And it has a pretty good amount of bounce effects going on. But we have a Dr. Facilier that is able to let us challenge as well as bounce at the same time. We're going to play my favorite card out of all of the Into the Inklands, which is Mama Odie Mystic Maven. Whenever we play a song, we automatically get to 1 jump ahead. It attaches like a 1 jump ahead to any song we sing. We're also going to play Rabbit to draw a card, and then Snake. We had the option to bounce Dr. Facilier to protect him from a crackback here, but instead we say, if he's willing to commit 2 characters and lose 2 characters to banishing this Dr. Facilier, then I think that's a good deal. And he's going to do that by first setting in Rabbit, which isn't the worst thing for him to lose because it drew him a card at the very least. And then he's also going to bring in a second Rabbit to draw a card, and then he's going to play a Madam Mim Fox, bouncing that rabbit to his hand, drawing a card, and then giving him the power he needs to bring down Dr. Facilier. So all in all, we got rid of 1 rabbit and 1 fox with that Dr. Facilier. He netted us quite a lot of advantage in the fact that we were able to bring back to our hand our rabbit and replay it, and then bounce it, as well as the 2 Gramma Talas. So here comes some Madam Mim Mystic Maven shenanigans. We're going to sing 1 jump ahead, which draws us 2 cards, and through her ability, inks 1, the top card of our deck. So draw 2, ink 1. And then we're going to play a second Friends on the other side to draw another 2 and ink another 1. Now we're going to play a Maleficent Sorceress to draw a card, and then very last, we drew a 1 jump ahead. So we're going to go ahead and use that to 1 jump ahead. And of course, Mama Odie inks another card, so double 1 jumps ahead. So through Madam Odie's ability, we inked 4 cards that turn. 4 cards. We ramped by 4. So that's going to put us right where we need to be, where we can pull off some really ridiculous stuff, like replaying the same rabbit 3 times through different bounce effects, or even greater is play a Hades, Infernal Schemer, bounce Hades, and then replay Hades again. That's a 16 ink play. So seeing the opportunity to get rid of Mama Odie without losing a character, he takes that opportunity. We're okay with that. I think Mama Odie has done the work we needed her to do, which is to put us into the deep late game. I think at this point we're sitting at 10 or 11 ink, and we're going to go ahead and trade our Maleficent Sorceress in for that Snake. That's a trade up in our book, even though the ink costs are inverted. And then we're going to play out the Queen's Palace. We're also going to play a Crab. And then lastly, we're going to play a rabbit, that rabbit that we bounced to our hand to draw another card. And then we're going to try and move those unexerted characters to the palace. The thought process here is that he's going to take his entire board, all 3 of his characters, challenging that palace to bring it down, which opens up our ability to crack back very viciously. Our snake can take out rabbit, our rabbit can trade in, our crab can take out Ariel. So we have a lot of really good challenges should he waste his entire turn challenging. But he still has Fox, so he's able to challenge with Goat, bounce Goat to hand, and play Fox to finish off Palace. Pretty good play on his part, getting him a lore as well. He's going to ink a Bare Necessities. He probably knows that we don't have any more songs in our hand. We don't play a whole lot of non-character things in this bounce deck. And then he's going to play a Simba Protective Cub and a Hades Lord of the Underworld. So that's another good card. A way that Amber can generate card advantage is through recursion by replaying the same characters. I do like Hades Lord of the Underworld. And it seems good in that deck where he can bounce it to his hand and replay it over and over again. You're going to see the same foxes over, and he's going to play foxes 8 times in a single match just because he keeps recurring them. But we did open up some challenges available for us. He did end up exerting all of his characters so we can try and wipe out his board here. We're going to play Crab number 1, and we realize that Crab's not so good in this matchup. He doesn't really have anything that has greater than 3 toughness, or 3 willpower. So Crab doesn't really do a whole lot, but it's a 3/3 itself, so we're going to go ahead and play it out. We use Snake to banish Simba, and that opens up our ability to take down the Fox. So we're going to pump our Rabbit with a second Crab so it can trade with the Fox and draw us a card. And then finally, we're going to use our 7 ink to bring down our other bomb, which is our Hades Infernal Schemer. There can be only one Hades, so we turn his Hades into ink and we quest out. So now we're sitting pretty high. We're at 10 lore at this point, and we can quest for, it looks like 6. So he really needs to come up with a way to deal with our board, and a lot of our board's in the form of 3/3 crabs, which is kind of hard for his deck to deal with. He needs goats in play, or he needs more foxes. I do believe he does run crabs himself, so he just needs to really draw into a crab. He's going to replay goat. I still think that's a fair trade. Like, if he ends up swinging a goat into a crab, he loses the goat, so it shuts off his replay gain lore shenanigans. He's going to trade rabbit in for snake, which is a good trade on his part, and then he's going to play Sleepy's flute and be able to exert that to gain a lore, because of course he played a Be Our Guest a moment ago. Second goat hits the board, putting him to 13. But we can, where we're sitting at 10 lore, quest for 5, go to 15, put him in a spot where he must banish at least one of our characters in order to prevent us from winning the game. But we're going to make that even worse on him. We're going to play a fox to rebounce Hades, so Hades cannot be the one that he banishes. And then we're going to replay Hades to remove one of his effective challengers. We're going to remove one of his goats. So that turns that into ink. It does gain him a lore, but more importantly, it makes it very difficult for him to stop us from winning the game next turn. And then we're going to play another Mama Odie just to make sure that effectively for him to win the game, or to prevent us from winning the game, he either needs to win the game right now, which is a possibility for his deck. If he can't win the game right now, he must banish at least all three of our crabs. And the crab is not an easy one to banish for his deck, having 3 willpower. So he's really in the tank here, thinking about what can he do. He's going to start by exerting and questing with his aerial so that he can bounce it with his fox and replay it to look for a song. He's going to find our friends on the other side, which is pretty good, but he's starting to run really low on ink already. He needs to defeat 3 crabs. He can defeat 1 with fox, and he's going to play a second friends on the other side. He's really running out of ink here. He's going to quest up to 16. He can use goat to banish a crab, and he can use fox to banish a crab. But he doesn't have any other way to banish that 3rd crab. He didn't really draw into anything to do that. So he's going to end up conceding the match there and saying, yep, you got it. You just ran away with it near the end there. You know, bouncing and replaying Hades Infernal Schemer is silly. All right, on to game number 2. Jimmy's going to play first here, but I hope that shows off, you know, I went through a lot of different iterations of this Gramma Tala list. In fact, this list came from me asking via TikTok, which Into the Inkland cards should we build around? Do people want to see me build around? And somebody said Gramma Tala, Spirit of the Ocean. So I went through a lot of iterations. I'm sorry it's taken like over a month. I want to do a deck building kind of series around it, but you know, I went through a lot of iterations. There was a Ruby Sapphire version for a little while, and it took me a while, and it took some playing online and Pixelborn against a lot of other players that were also playing similar lists for me to figure out that this is kind of the best one, I think. So he on turn 1 did Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. I did turn 1 Chernobog to say, if you leave that exerted, I'm going to banish it. But of course, he's got Snake. He's going to go ahead and bounce it back to his hand. He did get a Fox off of that Be Our Guest as well. So these matches do tend to be a little grindy, and this is kind of one of the reasons I think we're doing best of 2. It's not the right way to describe it, but 2-game matches going forward in challenges and those kinds of things. Because from what I hear in a lot of the competitive scene, the games very frequently go to time. And it's because of these very grindy matches where we're trying to outvalue each other, trying to get more 2-for-1s throughout the duration of the match than our opponent. And then doing a lot of bouncy stuff that really kind of removes some of our board state and actually slows down our tempo in order to gain more card advantage. So we get a really cheeky crab on turn 3 here, and we pump our Gramma Tala so it can bring down a snake. So it effectively gets to trade up, in my opinion. They're the same ink cost, snake and Gramma Tala. But we got to get rid of a 3/3 with a 1/1, and we also got to ink that 1/1. So I do enjoy that play quite a bit. He ends up playing an Ariel, Spectacular Singer, and swings and misses again. Does not find a song. That's strike 2, Jimmy. On turn 3, we're going to play a Mama Odie, and we're going to use our crab to sing a Friends on the Other Side. Let's get value out of this Mama Odie immediately. Let's draw 2, ink 1. And then we're going to go ahead and ink our card for turn. And play another Gramma Tala, just another thorn in his side. So we're sitting at 6 ink to his 4, and even though he was on the play. Here comes another Aerial Spectacular Singer. Strike 3, Jimmy. That is another whiff. I asked him after how many songs he's playing in his list, and I think he said 14 plus. Which seems okay. That's about how much I would be, the minimum I'd be willing to play myself. It's just he might be getting a little unlucky. Dig 4 is pretty good. We're going to play another Friends on the Other Side to draw 2 and ink 1 off of our Mama Odie singing it. And then we're going to go ahead and quest with the rest of our team and deploy a Rabbit to draw a card. And then we're going to ink a medium-sized Gramma Tala. Ancient Storyteller, I believe her name is. And then play another Mama Odie. So we're fixing, if we have any songs left, which is not super likely, we're fixing to go straight into the deep late game on turn 5. He's going to play his own Rabbit and ink a card and play a Rafiki Mysterious Fighter, Mystic Fighter, one of those two. The fighter version, the challenger version, which I think is an okay card. I know a lot of people drew parallels to how it's a worse Captain Hook Forceful Duelist, but you got to do what you got to do when you don't have steel available to yourself. So let's start by questing for 5 here. Just kind of really saying, I'm willing to race you, Jimmy. And then we're going to play a song. We did have another song. It's a Let It Go. And we're almost just playing this at this point for the ramp. So we were able to turn his Rabbit into ink and then double ramp through both of our Mama Odies, both singing a song played. I do value getting Rabbit off the board. Being a Amethyst player at this point myself, the most valuable character out of the whole strands of bounce and replays is definitely the Rabbit. So getting rid of that whenever possible is a priority for me to end up winning the kind of grindy long-term match. He's going to play a Fox, bouncing one of his aerials back to his hand so that he can replay that later. He's also going to be able to use his flute to gain a lore because he sang a song this turn. The boss is on a roll. And he ends up finding a Friends on the Other Side with that aerial. A good draw. Okay, Jimmy, you're unstruck out. You get props again for your aerial bounce effects starting to pay out. Challenging Rafiki into one of our Mama Odies. It's okay that our Mama Odies are going to go down here. They've done all that I wanted them to do, which is I think they got me a 6 extra ink this game or something insane like that. So even though they're going to go down here in favorable challenges to Jimmy, they've done the work. They've gained me lore. They've put me into the deep late game, as I call it, that we're able to start doing some really degenerate stuff. And let's start with a Dr. Facilier. That way we can challenge our Rabbit into his Fox, bring down that Fox, draw a card, and put Rabbit back in our hand to be replayed. We're looking around and seeing if there's any other favorables. Let's go ahead and bring down that Rafiki, who's kind of dangerous that it can challenge for 3. And then beyond that, we're going to crest with Tala and replay a Maleficent Sorceress. So as long as Dr. Facilier is alive, we just want to try and use all of our card draw effects repeatedly to gain an enormous card advantage over our opponent, which is a race against Jimmy, because Jimmy's drawing a lot of cards too. He just did another Friends on the Other Side. And he's going to end up challenging our... go ahead and challenge our Gramma Tala and then bounce his aerial and bring in a Fox. Replay that aerial to hit another Friends on the Other Side. So he's showing off kind of with great effect how a song drawing variant of the deck is very effective by replaying and singing with aerials. He's going to play that Friends on the Other Side to draw some more cards. And you can see how these Amethyst versus Amethyst matchups get really grindy and take a long time to resolve because of how much undoing of our own board and non-committal to our board we become. I really would like to have lost Maleficent Sorceress in a challenge here. That way we could replay it immediately and draw another card. But I think at this point, I'm thinking it's best to just race to the end of the match. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of his board and position ourselves to just start questing to 20 and make him kind of like last game, force him into a weird spot where he has to try and challenge a lot with his less challenge-centric characters. We're going to go ahead and ink that Fox with our Hades and play a Rabbit. And we're going to quest with Dr. Facilier. Once again, we're offering the ability for him to just commit all of his characters into trying to banish this Dr. Facilier, who quests for 3, by the way. Under the premise that it pretty much kind of like bodyguards the rest of our board, that we can then focus on challenging with them and reaching 20 lore as fast as possible. So I like the idea of baiting our opponents into challenges Dr. Facilier, almost like he has bodyguard. Then here comes that play here. He's going to bounce his Aerial to hand for Fox and send both of them at Dr. Facilier, banishing both of his own characters in the process. So he's going to ink one more Aerial and play a Bare Necessities to reveal our hand, which is a huge grip at this point. I reveal that I have a Let It Go, which he can get rid of. Then I have a ton of other things. Crab, Fox, Snake, and a Gramma Tala. I had the opportunity for Gramma Tala to win this match, but seeing that, Jimmy sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match, unfortunately. So that's the end of game number 2. It's a 2-0 for the Gramma Tala. I'm going to put the list below. I'm calling it Mama Ramp, Mama Hyper Ramp, because I love Mama Odie as much as I'm trying to win with Gramma Tala. So I had to find a name that fit both. But, well, I hope you enjoyed that gameplay. Thanks for joining us here at Lorcana University. For more Lorcana content, like and follow.